So Stacey Abrams was in the news today, yammering on and on about authoritarianism, how we're fighting authoritarianism and how we're saving the democracy. And it's really starting to irritate me that these Democrats are claiming to fight authoritarianism and save democracy by getting rid of democracy and establishing their own authoritarianism. What part of this am I not getting? What part of this is just not clicking in my head? So we also had Kamala. I did a whole video on Kamala. She's fighting authoritarianism too, and she's saving democracy. So how does she want to save democracy? Well, one of the ways was getting rid of the Electoral College. So we're going to save this country and protect the democracy by getting rid of one of the tenets of democracy. We're going to get rid of the very foundation that the country was built upon that made this democracy work. And so I started to think about this and I figured it out. What they're really saying is this. They're saying that they want to save democracy and get rid of authoritarianism in order to put themselves into power so they can be the authoritarians. And democracy, in their mind, it means getting it our way. If we don't have it our way, it's not democracy. Now, even if you're 49% of the population that wants to do things in a certain way, and 51% of the population doesn't want to do it that way. Well, democracy says that the 51% is probably going to win out. But in the minds of the people who are in the minority, well, it's not democracy unless they get their way. So on issues where you only have, say, 45%, 40%, 35%, or lower, let's look at the Save America Act. Only 20% of the people in this country are against the Save America Act. But in their minds, they're saving democracy by preventing that bill from being passed. Because of course it's going to bring on Jim Crow 2.0. Now, forget the fact that I haven't seen one law in the South be passed that brings back separate water fountains, separate bathrooms, or restaurants that say white only. We haven't seen one law passed. But if the 20% don't get their way, then they holler that we're returning to Jim Crow. In fact, the crazy thing is this. These same people that are fighting for democracy, they're actually fighting for segregation. Now, back in the good old days when the Jim Crow laws were established, we had forced segregation. Black people couldn't go to the same school as white people. Black people couldn't live in the same neighborhood as white people. And then we had the desegregation movement. We had busing. We had the removal of the Jim Crow laws where everyone in the nation, listening to Martin Luther King, pushed for white people and black people living together in harmony where we don't judge each other by the color of our skin. That was desegregation. Now, fast forward to today, and the Democratic Party needs segregation back. They need it to stay the way that it is. So even though that we got rid of all of the Jim Crow laws and we had the desegregation movement, well, we never desegregated as a population. That's why you see these majority black districts that are getting redrawn. That's why we see cities like Memphis that is 80% black, Atlanta that is overwhelmingly majority of the people live in the Atlanta metropolitan area are black people. Detroit, Chicago. I mean, I could go on and on, especially in the South. So the segregation is there. If we didn't have segregation right now, still active right now, there wouldn't be any fight about redrawing the district lines. So what the Democrats need is for black people to stay in their place, segregated. Don't go moving out of that city, black people. Don't go dispersing yourselves all throughout the state and living amongst white people and other nationalities. No, you stay your butts right there so we can draw a little line around you and guarantee a Democratic vote. But they're saving democracy. And it's racist to come up against those lines that are drawn because we got to protect the black people to be able to vote majority for the Democratic Party. Now, let me ask you this. What happens to the black people that are conservative and independent? Where are their lines? Are you going to tell all of the conservative black people that they have to live in certain cities segregated so we can draw lines around them? Are you going to tell all of the black independents that they can't live in certain areas? They can only live in one city, so we can draw a line around you, all you independent black people. You don't get to do desegregation. Now, would that fly? If the black Democrats on the radical left side get to stay in their black-only neighborhoods where segregation is alive and well, and if they think that it's racist if we don't allow them to draw a line around their district, then why don't we get those lines drawn around conservative and independent black people? Something to think about. I'm just thinking out loud. But let me know what you think. Are they saving democracy? If they're not saving democracy, what are they saving?